Welcome to the CEO Launch Podcast.
We are a dynamic mother-daughter duo bringing you personality, insights, and practical advice from two different generations of entrepreneurship.
We aren't just mother and daughter. We are also best friends and business partners.
I've watched my mom help thousands of entrepreneurs start the businesses of their dreams, including me. And now it's your turn.
Since this is our first official episode, I thought it would be a good idea to start talking about our first businesses. Well, for me, it's my almost first business.
And I would love for you to explain what it means to have an almost business.
Well, when I was in elementary school, I kind of sort of had a business.
What was it?
I grew up in a predominantly black neighborhood, and I was bused to a predominantly white neighborhood. And one of the things that I learned at a very early age is there were distinct differences in our neighborhood. One of the biggest differences was that my neighborhood had a candy store, and that store was open as early as 7 a.m. in the morning. And at this...
Wait. Pause the story. You had a candy store open at 7 o'clock in the morning. Did they sell breakfast?
No, girl. They sold candy, like now-laters and pickled eggs and soda and chips. You could get all of this stuff at 7 o'clock in the morning.
So you was eating pickled eggs before you went to school?
Come on, let's just stay focused. Now, like, so...
Okay.
Yeah, let's stay focused.
Right.
So anyway...
Go ahead.
My classmates from the white neighborhood, they didn't have such a store, you know, and they used to ask me, where did you get candy? Can you get me some? And that is when my kind of sort of business started.
So you were eating pickled eggs at 7 o'clock in the morning, and then you got the brilliant idea to start hustling some candy to the white kids at your school?
Basically. See, back then, candy was 10 cents, and I feel so old when I say that. But I would sell the candies to my classmates for 25 cents. And even with the markup, it was still cheaper than what they could get in their neighborhoods.
So where were they buying candy in their neighborhood?
You know, like they had convenience stores like Circle K and 7-Eleven, stuff like that. And it was much more than 25 cents.
Oh, all right. So you was young B, and the B stands for bands. You was out here hustling your candy. But what I don't understand is you was selling 10-cent candy for 25 cents, making a 15-cent profit. But this was just your almost business?
Yeah, because my daddy shut my business down.
Granddaddy shut your business down?
Yeah.
Why? What you do?
All right. So I got to tell the whole story. First of all, selling candy in school was against the rules. Mm-hmm. And so I didn't tell my parents that I was selling candy. In fact, if they're listening to this episode, they are finding out just now.
Grandma Whooper.
I know. Yeah, I know. So I was selling candy and they didn't know it. So one day my dad saw my inventory stash, and he just assumed that I was spending all my little allowance on candy. So he took my candy, put it in the refrigerator where I could see it and reach it, and dared me to touch it.
So Granddaddy was over here shutting down black businesses.
Yes.
And he took your stash. What did he think you was doing with all that candy?
He thought I was eating it.
Oh. Well, he was trying to help
Right.
you. He didn't want you to get the diabetes.
Right, and cavities. I did have a lot of cavities. You know, the chewy candies, now latest and taffies, those are my favorites, and I got proof.
Yeah, you had an early start to eating them at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Basically. So in about a week, I was out of business. But I learned at a really young age a very valuable lesson about discovering a market and feeling the need. And that's why I call it my almost business.
Got you. What I'm getting from this story is that Granddaddy is in fact the feds, and we should all watch out. But you know what? I have a candy lady story too.
Yeah, I kind of remember.
Yeah. See, you know the part of the candy lady story that is legal. I also was planning to illegally sell some candy in school.
What?
Yeah. You probably remember the part where I was like, "Mommy, I want to be the neighborhood candy lady." But
yes, I do remember. So since that's the part that I remember, why don't you tell our listeners that part of the story, and then you can fill me and you can fill our listeners and your mommy in on the illegal part of the story.
Well, I had this amazing example of an entrepreneur, in my household. Every day I got to live and breathe by this example. So I felt like at the age of 8, I had to do my part and help bring in some coins into, the household. So, the
Girl,
year was
you did not have that kind of pressure. Why are you acting like you had pressure?
You know what? It wasn't pressure. I was inspired. I was just inspired. I felt like I needed to pull my weight. It was, 2003. Inflation was high. I had a vision that the housing market was going to crash before it actually did. So I was just preparing us for the recession in like 10 years.
Okay. Girl, tell the real story.
Okay. So I had this idea to become the neighborhood candy lady. And that's what I told you.
So I remember that part because I remember thinking when you came to me with the idea of being a neighborhood candy lady, I thought, oh God, I do not want all these kids in the neighborhood
coming to your house.
Coming to my house.
Yep. And, I didn't want all the kids in the neighborhood coming to your house either. So the illegal part was I was going to sell it at school mostly. And then, if they wanted to get some candy after school, then they could come to the hood. And I had them,
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
We live in no hood now. You mean hood like our neighborhood, right?
Our neighborhood. So, I was trying to expand markets, not just confine myself to the neighborhood, only my customers that live within my residence. That was just too small for me. I've always been a visionary. So I saw that I could be selling candy to the entire 3rd grade. That's what I wanted. And then eventually the entire elementary school. And before you know it, all of Gwinnett County Public Schools were going to be funded with candy by me. I had that vision. I was ready.
So what happened?
Okay. All right. So, let me set the scene again. The year is 2003. At this point, Amazon is essentially eBay, right? So you couldn't just go on Amazon and get some candy and things like that. You had to go to your wholesale website, which was very hard to do, and I was innovative for doing it because other people would have just went to the store, but I was using the web as a resource before the rest of y'all. I just want to make that known. All right.
This is true, guys. This is true.
Thank you. The year 2003, Beyonce's dominating the charts, and I was, again, inspired by a dynamic woman, so I was like, I need to dominate the streets with this candy that I'm selling. So I go on to samsclub.com. Actually, let me back up. Someone who raised me, my mother.
As in me.
Yes, my mother gave me this idea, and she said, if you want to sell candy, you need to figure out how much it costs, and then you need to figure out how much you're going to sell it for, and then you need to figure out how much you're going to make from how much it costs and how much you're going to sell it for.
This was the 3rd grade explanation of a cost-benefit analysis. Go ahead.
Okay. So, she was teaching me econ before I got a B in econ. With that said, me being the genius that I am, I'm just kidding, but I am pretty savvy. So I pulled up Excel, I made my spreadsheet, I started thinking about all the major candies. I knew my market, I knew what I loved, I knew what my friends loved, I had done my research. So I said, I want M&Ms, I want Blow Pops, I want Skittles, I want Snickers. Now Laters was still popping back then, we still love Laffy Taffies. We had this thing called Fun Dip, RIP to a real candy, Reese's Pieces, all of them. It was all on the list, okay? Had my list, I started doing doing my research. I went on Sam's Club. I figured out how much it cost at wholesale, only to very quickly learn that candy was no longer 10 cents.
Nope, it was no longer 10 cents.
Say it again.
I said it was no longer 10 cents.
Yes, it was no longer 10 cents. But people still wanted to pay 25 cents for candy. They wanted quarter candy. What I found in my research was not only did candy no longer cost 10 cents and people wanted to pay 25 cents for said candy, but that a unit of candy would cost me 20 cents. So essentially, if I wanted to sell a blow pop for 25 cents, which is generally what people would pay for a blow pop, it would then cost me 20 cents, which meant that I was gonna get a nickel for all of this hard work that I did. I told you in the beginning that I'm an innovator, I'm a visionary. And visionaries don't get paid a nickel a pop. What do you mean? So, I realized that I was better than this business. I couldn't be making 5 cents to be annoyed by these snotty-nosed kids and risk getting in trouble. And, she's being very nice.
Weren't you one of those snotty-nosed kids?
I was not snotty.
Oh, okay. My bad. You weren't
I was
snotty.
very well kept together. Okay.
Okay.
I was in style for a third grader. I inspired adults, okay?
Okay.
Don't forget, I put some of your outfits together over here talking to me crazy. But, so I decided not to do it. So technically, I have a Candy Lady story. And I guess I kind of have an almost business too.
Yeah, that was your almost business. So for our listeners, one of the things that I wanted to kind of point out from this is, in raising Kenya, I never wanted to discourage her from the things that she wanted to do. So when she came to me with this Candy Lady idea, I knew it was not going to be the moneymaker that she was thinking it was going to be. But I wasn't the one to tell her, no, you can't do that, or no, you're not going to make any money. I needed her to see it.
Mostly because telling me not to do it wasn't going to work anyway.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. It's like I learned very early on that my child is not that kind of a child. Like, telling her not to do something is probably something that's going to make her want to do it even more. So in thinking about this for an entrepreneur, so as we wrap this episode up, in thinking about both stories, really, I think that it's really important when you are starting your business that, one, you recognize that you have a market. So in my story, I had a market because before I even thought to start my almost first business, I had students coming to me and saying, hey, can you get me some candy? And so I had that market. And I think that's one of the steps that a lot of times business owners want to skip that step, or they don't realize the importance of it.
I definitely agree. I think one thing that I got from your story, although I jokingly called Granddaddy the Feds, I think it's also important to be legit. You have to tell the right people that you're actually in business before you decide to get in business for a number of reasons. In my case, when I told you about my business, I got support. I learned how to work Excel. You maybe gave me some ideas about how I could go about starting and figuring out the profitability of my business. That gave me the opportunity to figure out whether or not I wanted to do it and whether it was going to thrive or not. And so, especially now with everything that's going on with COVID, like being legit is so important because you get more support when you are doing things the right way.
Oh my gosh, you are my child. Like, I really did raise you. That is
just a little bit.
Yeah, that almost, I'm sitting there looking like, this sounds like me talking. But you are absolutely right. And I think the last point that I want to make, and I don't know if you have another point that you want to share after this, is how important it is to do the market research. And a lot of people want to skip this step of doing the market research. So in Kenya's case, if she didn't take the time to figure out what were her costs, what would she be able to, what was her selling price, what was her profit, and she just went into business, she would have thought that she was more profitable than she was if she didn't take the time to do the market research. And I know that there are a lot of business owners businesses that are open right now that probably would have never started if they knew what the true cost of going into business was. So
that's so true.
What else? Do you have anything else that you want to share about that?
Something that I thought about that's really important in business is that you have to know your numbers one way or another. You have to know your numbers, and you have to know other people's numbers who's doing the same thing as you. Because I very well could have decided, well, I'm only gonna make a nickel off of this candy, then I'm gonna charge people 50 cents so I can make 25 cents off of how much I was, actually, no, that's not math. So I can make 30 cents off of how much I was charging. But people weren't willing to pay 25 cents, and that's also not what my competitors were charging. My competitors, right. People weren't willing to pay 50 cents, and that's not what my competitors were charging. My competitors were charging 25 cents. So it's like you have to know what the averages are, what the numbers look like in your business, in your industry, because if you want to do something outrageous and that's not what people are doing, people aren't going to do business with you.
Oh man, that is awesome. That is awesome. So I hope that you all have enjoyed this episode as much as we have. So we are here every Wednesday. So we hope that you will join us. If you haven't already joined our online community, the Efficient CEO Movement, please join us for additional support, tips, and just encouragement. It's a great place to continue the conversation that we are having here.
Awesome. And follow us on The CEO Launch on all social media platforms. We definitely want to connect with you all. And if there's any episodes that you think, I would really love to hear about this, comment below our post and let us know what you want to hear about. And also, before we head out, I would just like to plug that you should go support your local candy lady. Support small businesses. Don't give all your money to GoPuff and Uber Eats and all of those other delivery stores. Your local candy lady needs your business.
Yes, that's excellent. So we will see you guys in the next episode.
And don't forget to take off.
This is a Clearwood production.